Hey everyone, it's Rich Sheffrin here with another segment of Steal Our Winners, and I'm very much looking forward to today because we are with an expert in the e-commerce field. This is some place where I am quite deficient, so I'm very much looking forward to everything that Nick Shackelford can drop on us because he is a master marketer when it comes to e-commerce. And so I'm sure we'll be diving into something e-commerce related. And there is no better person to learn from when you're learning e-commerce than Nick Shackelford. So Nick, thanks for joining us and welcome.
First of all, what an intro. And obviously, Rich, I've been a huge fan of yours for a couple years now. And it is true. I've been begging to try to get some e-commerce thrown into the space because we can't deny it right now. This is the time to be doing it, right?
No doubt.
So, and there's an interesting approach that I've been taking. I think it's kind of been coming together. Like people in this industry, they're talking about Facebook's getting expensive. There's a lot of things that's too hard for us to win. CPMs are rising, all of this stuff. And I've been doing this for 6.5 years. And there's no bullshit. Like it is, I started with big brand. I'll give a little bit of background for everybody because I know it's my introduction to most people. So I'll Zoom share in a second. But it's getting more difficult. The brands that we work with on average are spending between $250,000 up to over $1 million each month on just paid ads. And they're coming to me going like, Shaq, like, what do we do next? How do we find more ways of distributing content and selling my product? That's it, right? At the end of the day, it's how do we distribute content, convince consumers to pay, and continue to make them pay off of repeat, right? We all understand this. I know the audience is super educated, so I'll do my best to explain this. Now, I will caveat, there is a little nice hack in this, but it's a bigger concept. So it might take me a little bit to set that up, but I promise if everybody stays with me, they'll understand like, I get it. That makes sense now.
Okay, cool.
And with that, I'm going to jump right into what I got to show. Cool?
Cool. Let's do it.
So I'm going to tease everybody right away with a little bit of a larger number. So we've been doing this. So this is since 2018 up to most recently, large push. We've spent some significant cash on, and this is Facebook's attribution. Now it could be much more than this. We obviously don't have a lot of these numbers on whatever the back end Shopify is, but this works and it will continue to work. What am I talking about? Talking about influencers with Facebook. So I'll go back up to a little bit of my face. I love pastels. I already know I got big ass eyebrows. It is what it is. But again, I've been doing this for a very long time. At the beginning, I was a professional soccer player. I don't know if you knew this about me, but transitioned out of that. No money. I'm a 6-foot white guy. If I was going to be 5, I might make more money and play a different sport, honestly. But I learned real quick that I'm a better marketer. I'm a better distributor of relation and better all-around person to help steer strategy. Found and fell in love with 2 brands I really cared about. I thought I was going to be a corporate man through and through. Obviously, as you see, I am not a corporate man, but I worked with Pepsi and Apple for my very first beginning jobs. And when I say jobs, I'm saying I launched the iPhone 7, I launched the iPad Pro, I launched the iWatch. I really was in it, and we were spending millions and millions of dollars, but they didn't give a fuck about where the return was. So I was like, all right, hold on, let's revisit this. 2017 is when my buddy and my buddy, who's currently my partner, Jake Schmidt, we launched the fidget spinner. This was like the true launch of like what direct response marketing was for me. We were selling $3 to $4 products that we were buying from Alibaba to kids for 25, 30, 40. We were the new yo-yo. That's what it was, right? Anybody that needed any little bit of Adderall, like we were trying to be your solve. And I actually like this was our very first packaging. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. Nice little claim to fame.
Yeah, it's a big claim to fame. So anyone who's ever seen a fidget spinner, now you know the source.
Absolutely, man. It's pretty cool. Then the last like 3 years is really where like the strategy and the focus really came into it. And it's basically, we worked with brands that were getting case studies from Facebook that we were talking through like, how do we blow up a brand that's doing $50,000 in revenue to $1 million a month to multi-million dollars a month? And it came through like 3 main channels: Facebook, Instagram, and influencers. Well, if I were to pair today, and this is stuff that's based off of a specific use case, and then I'll dive into like what it actually looks like in platform. But like I'll talk about, here's a simple structure, why Facebook and influencers needed today, 2 things, what that campaign structure actually looks like in the account. And then 3, I'll give you an example, and then I'll dive into an actual live account and show you that this shit's still working today. I think if I lead right into this is when people are asked like what they want to be when they grow up, it's very simple. And I'm going to actually like full on shrink this so no one can really see what's next. People got asked this question consistently. What did you want to be when you grow up, Rich?
I guess it changed over the years. I think the first thing I wanted to be, I think, was after I saw the movie Hooper with Burt Reynolds. I wanted to be a stuntman.
Hey.
That didn't last very long. But it's changed over the years. I guess somewhere around my 20s, I decided I wanted to teach business. So I guess I ended up in that field. But being famous, I guess, would be probably one of the most popular, I would think.
I think it's accurate, right? Like, I wanted to be 4 things. I wanted to be a pro athlete, which thankfully I checked that box off. I wanted to be like a singer, which if you hear my voice, like definitely not in my cards.
Yeah, it's not my cards either.
I put a clown here because like at the end of the day, if you are a brand, like someone is going to perceive you as that dude's a clown. He's living his own life. So Ronald McDonald's here. This is the fucking scariest picture I've ever seen in my life. But I'm going to introduce this to you. And this is what's been blowing my mind. Like as we're in TikTok world right now. There's a house called TikTok House in LA where kids come and they just make content because people are now requesting to be an influencer. They don't want to be a doctor. They don't want to be pro athlete. They don't want to be like, I want to make content and get paid to do so. It's wild. 1 in 3 aspire to be a YouTuber. You guys can read this yourself. This shit's real. So we in this industry where like Facebook created the job that I'm currently working within, we can't deny it. So we were looking.
I have a daughter. I have 3 daughters. I'm sure I'd like to be, well, at least 2 of them wouldn't mind being video YouTube personalities for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Like, can I get paid to do the things I want to do? Check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I use this into anchor, like this is the way that things are going, which means influencers in this world aren't going away. It's going to go to a different platform. It's going to continue to evolve. So we need to always incorporate in our business or means of distribution. In this situation right now, in my industry, I'm technically an influencer. Any guru or any other person talking about this is an influencer. They're distributing content.
Right.
If we were to look this up, and this is like the consistent flow again, supporting the evidence of like this is not going away. 2014, it's been on the rise. It's never, or 2004, it's been on the rise, and it isn't going to slow down. So if we were to incorporate this, someone must have seen this way before us. So Skims was a brand new brand that Kim Kardashian launched, and we obviously understand what her and her family have already launched, and plenty of respect for what they're doing. But they are basically plastering their face all over, and if it wasn't for TV, they wouldn't have a reputation. That is the impact of influencers. So if we were to sit and go understanding, okay, why does this matter to me specifically when we go to a platform? It's because the rise of just the IG stories that we are introducing, which is, as we get to the strategy of where we're going to launch this, is why it's so important, because it's continuing to increase, because it's the #1 adopted implementation of features that Instagram and Facebook have ever introduced to the platform. Ever in the history. Why that's important to us is because everybody's online, especially in the United States. Now, there is a connotation with influencers going like, well, they might have this large following, but reach is going down. Of course it is. So that's why us strategically, when we get down to like how the campaign should be set up, you'll understand why we actually want to launch with this, because they are acting as a distribution channel. And as we're growing in the e-commerce world, this is specifically to me what we're trying to do, and everybody else is interested in making any sort of side money revenue. It's going to continue to grow up and to the right, okay? I believe in this. I'm seeing this. There's more and more brands that hit us up. There's more and more brands, more and more agencies starting. It's all beautiful. Again, this is another supporting evidence of like, as the spend increases, everybody knows that they're just going to be jumping on board. This is a screenshot of a very, very beautiful brand. It's called Posh Peanut. That Posh Peanut, they sell baby clothes. When we first began with them back in 2018, to convince a consumer to make the same purchase was $9.50. Same thing. It's a very unique product. It's niche. It's a little bit floral. Like, it's not for everybody, but it's always baby season consistently. That same product in last year, 2019, I don't even know what's going to happen when I come into October this following year, potentially even $35. It's just getting much more expensive. How do we combat that? We always talk about this is how we all get zucked. Because when we sit here, we're like, you can't deny Facebook is the #1 channel that we're going to use. That's plain and simple. That's all we can do. We are going to spend that. We can complain, but I'm not going to take my money elsewhere right now. How do we combat this? This is what my phone looks like. And most people, I think I'm probably more of a super user, but I spend at least 6 hours a week. I would actually check right now, and it was about 8 hours and 33 minutes. It's been a rough week. It is what it is. But this is not just myself. This is other consumers taking this in. Why does this matter for us? Because if we're not able to create content, these are both 2 videos that I wanted to. This is a video still. So what Flyblade was based in LA, and kind of right timing with everything that's happened in LA recently. You can get around by helicopter. It was a beautiful piece of content that once Instagram introduced this simple share button into DMs, content got much more viral. Why did content get viral? Because they knew that if you were sharing it and you made actual genuine content, reach improved. Because the first couple of moments, the first impressions are so valuable, especially on Instagram stories and feed. This is a brand we worked for Igloo Coolers. We reached out to drunk people doing things because it made complete congruency. And we had this guy getting dragged on the cooler, and it's pretty native. Like that looks like a meme to most people, but it's actually, that's an ad. We did that. We paid for that. That's why influencers are important to us. I'm sure you've had a couple of drunken nights like this. I know I haven't been dragged on a cooler, but I've been dragged and carried away from buddies before. So knowing how that is how influencers should be approached. Let them make their content. Make sure you give them the parameters to use. We look at them for 3 things. What are they useful for? They're useful for because they can create the content. We can associate ourselves with them, and they can provide revenue growth for us, plain and simple. As it goes, here's what the benefits are for us. Paid social, organic content. We don't have to do it. We don't have to spend money to get this done. We don't have to have a team in our house to do it. They can do it for us. Plus a little bit of built-in lift. If I were to see, like, if you have 3 different types of businesses, beginning, middle, and scaling, if you're just launching and you don't have any proven value propositions, an influencer is the easiest way to kind of already assimilate yourself with that. If you need credibility, you're going to tie on right to how valuable they are, obviously choosing the right one. And if you don't have an audience, they're going to give you one instantly with the followers that you can grow. If you need a little bit further and you're like, okay, I have something that's working and this product has been validated. How do I grow that user base? That's the easiest thing to do. An influencer can do so because they already have the rented audience.
Right.
Now, what if you're looking to expand and go to a different group? Well, you can do this with another influencer. You can do this with someone that's not directly tied to your brand, but you know that they themselves are a brand. You can launch a second product with them, and you don't actually have to have it live on your site. You don't have to actually have it live on your page. If it didn't work out, I'm not going to implement it here. Maybe we just move away. No negative connotation associated. They're going to be creating all the content for us. So if a brand comes to us, or if you're starting as a brand, you usually have a platform of this much content. So we're talking top left. This is educational, talking about the piece, talking about whatever the content is. High concept, which is definitely like a bigger production value of full set, full influencers, makeup, etc. A micro play is you and I taking content very UGC-like, very user-generated content. POW is just product on white, very simplistic. PR articles highlighting the product itself with a little bit of like PR. Vogue's featured it. High product value. This isn't necessarily like a lot of people can do, but it's a 3D rendering. I wouldn't pay for it right off the bat, especially if you're starting out. Reactions is one that we truly always like to use. You have your review ads that's specifically about how someone might have liked it. Next to the product, because always showing product always helps. Screen record of PR articles that might have been launched, any reviews, any other UGC content. Slideshows, just still images back to back. We have specs, pretty straightforward. Stop motion is a video that highlights exactly what's going on with different still images. I can go on and on about, but what's more valuable is over half of these are with influencers.
So, so you didn't create these, the influencers actually created them for you.
Absolutely.
During the campaign.
Right, and all we had to do is add in a little bit of brand, add in a little bit of text overlay, simplistic stuff. They're taking all the heavy lifting out of it. Ben, these are more examples. I'm not going to play all of this. I'll show you some actually in the live video, but from leggings to makeup to more leggings to beanies, it's utterly insane that they're able to create this much content. It doesn't cost us as much. This is probably one of the biggest quotes that I was taught. It's Facebook and Instagram were built with the connection of humanity and its purpose. It's person-to-person relation, right? Mm-hmm. My last mentor, people buy for 2 reasons: a recommendation from someone they trust, and the price, right? That's how Amazon wins. Reviews and price points, plain and simple. So we can understand these concepts. we can understand much better. And let's go back to influencer marketing. The legitimacy of the ads itself is where a lot of the convincing comes from. So if we know that the brand association with specific influencers are going to raise our worth or raise the association with said product, with said consumer, it's a no-brainer for us. So as we understand that, that grows, and this is more validation that the increased brand awareness is very, very congruent with the increase of use of influencers, because it's not a brand. Like, I don't wake up going, damn, I hope Lululemon messages me today. I really want to talk to them. But I definitely want the sexy girl that's wearing Lululemon pants to message me.
Right.
But it is what it is right here. A validation of like, okay, as the influencer community grows, the agencies grow, right? Like, that's how a lot of us kind of get paid, because they're going to grow the groups, the agencies grow, and the entire industry is going to continue to lift, which is why I can stand here today in 2020 still talking about this, because it's not slowing down. Back into revenue growth. So if I come in, like, this is probably one of the biggest influencers that we had the opportunity to work with, but who has over $150,000 to spend on this? Most people don't. And that's totally fine. So if we were to take this one unique approach, which is what we like to call micro to macro play. So if it's a micro to macro influencer play, because not many people can drop $150,000, $200,000 on a Kardashian or a Rock. And all we really want, we want the brand affinity, we want the content creation, and potential revenue spike. If you were to sit through like this, this is the overall structure. One macro is going to average between, one micro is going to average between $1,000. Okay. Why we
micro influencer. Okay.
Sorry, I'll verify that. So one micro influencer is about $1,000. Generally, you're going to get away with $500, $350, but I say $1,000 to be a little bit more on the high end. To say, hey, I want 3 pieces of content, I want an IG story, etc. $1,000. We can afford to put that aside, especially with what they're going to give us. The reach we're expecting is between about $50K and $100,000, or sorry, $50K and 100,000 audience members.
Right.
Not super large. There's a lot of these out there, but if we go to a macro, potentially they might be well known. This is our girls in the middle, right? They stand for they're a healthy mom, they're CrossFit, they're yoga. They're very like into that, but we can still reach them by using the ones around the outside girls, right? Because I'm not willing to spend $50,000 putting all my eggs in one basket. If that shit doesn't work out, very hard to explain where that money went. So if we were to look at it, just simple math, 10 micros, we're going to get about $10,000 to $15,000, right? But potentially, most likely less, but this is high end. The reach is still going to be $500,000 to $1 million. And we're going to get actual raw things we can use for advertisements or just distribution in itself. Whereas we get 1 for 1 and potentially 3, and they're probably assholes to work with. That's the thing that people don't talk about. Right.
So on a standard micro influencer campaign that you're spending $1,000, what deliverables are you getting? Like for the $1,000?
So for the deliverables, it's always going to be negotiated. But the 3 things that we're going to get, we want 2 IG stories, and I'll explain why we want IG stories, and we want 1 feed post. Before getting into it, the 2 IG, why they're so important is because you have swipe up ability, right? You can get right to landing page. You can get right to where you want them to go. But if you have a page post, or if you have like a feed post, you have to click again to get off to the site. So we really need to at least test with the IG story swipe, because it's just way simpler for the user experience. And we're obviously delivering them like, hey, here's your brief, and we really want you to make sure you speak about the 3 value props, which I'll go through that brief right after this anyways.
Cool.
So if we were to break this down, right, we know the brand has these 3 values. Hey, we're a beauty brand. We also relate to fitness, and we have a little bit of motherhood. We know who our person is. They're going to be fitness, motherhood, straight up. But if I'm willing to spend $50K to get these 3, why am I not able to spend less to get 1 and understand really what's the angle, what's the value prop that I really want to drive into? You're going to get 3, more content, and much more cost effective. Plus, we don't really know what's going to trigger. Is it going to be beautiful?
Right. You don't know which angle is going to get the most lift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we were to think through like, okay, what is my steps to make sure we get this done? Well, it's going to cost me products. That's totally fine. I'm going to send that. I'm going to see that to you. Thank you so much, influencer. Second, we're going to allow them to post by themselves, and we're going to be able to monitor that. Just do simple UTM tags. Then we're going to build campaigns through our paid support. That's the secret sauce. That's what we're going to get at right after this. So if we were to provide them the UTM links, It's really simple to track. Oh, wrong click. Oh, the videos aren't playing. It's unfortunate on that video. I'll show these videos after, but
right. I think if you press, like, if you go into presentation mode, it might work, but I don't know. Like, you know, if you, I'm clicking on the screen. Don't worry about it. You know, but it's like on the bottom right, like when you go into, yeah, like right there.
Oh, so it's, oh, it completely locked me out.
Does that do it?
It's leaking. Well, it is her content, but it is pulling me in a completely different direction. It'll play for me though. This is fine. That's weird. So I'll put a little bit of a preface here.
Hey guys, today at work I'm wearing.
So let's understand the brand real quick before I let this play, before people go like, oh my God, what is going on?
All right.
Very playful, very organic, and the influencers they want were quirky. So we're going to see a little bit of this quirk going on.
Hey guys, today at work I'm wearing this cute little organic cotton shirt dress from a brand called Pact. I love this brand. I wanted to introduce them to you. Swipe up to shop, super affordable, summer looks.
Weird girl, totally doesn't matter. But that's her vibe. That's her brand.
Right.
She talked about it, organic. She did a quick little spin around and she put on it. That's well executed. That is what we wanted from this. So back into the influencer, content here.
Mm-hmm.
This is really simple. We use this Google UTM builder, the brand, whatever the influencer's name is going to be, the platform we're running out, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, and if it's a specific campaign, we'll label it as such. We deliver this to the influencer. This is what they're able to post and swipe up so that we can finally get a little bit of learning in GA. So what does it look like? Influencer, who's going? Very clean, very simple. Now, some people say, like, well, this is click only. Yeah, it is click only. We understand that. But we also know that for brands that are running large influencer campaigns, they're not going to be able to see, or unless they have like it has offers, unless they have their own service built for this, it's always good enough to understand where traffic's coming from, right? Even if it isn't populating, we're still going to understand how much traffic they're going to be driving and how good the quality of traffic is. So it's more than enough for us to use. Here's another piece. This is probably one of the most effective influencers campaigns we've ever ran, which is why it's so great to talk through.
Who we be kidding? We're wearing loungewear like a lot, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like spandex workout. I love loungewear that is like cotton and comfortable that I feel like I could also sleep in. Like I can't lay down on the couch in my fitted stuff that I just worked out on and like relax because of the spandex band around the stomach.
So let's talk about this. We're 21 seconds in. I just want to talk about all the things that's working and why this makes sense.
Right.
She's putting the camera. She's in her room. That's very natural. She had a dog jump on the bed.
Yep, I saw that.
Right? She's already super close to it. She's got the twang in the voice. She's talking about spandex. Like these girls are like hitting it on the money. And these aren't highly paid influencers. This is just a good mom. I'm not even going to let the 3 minutes play because it's actually a lot of content. But she's talking about shirts, pants, and shorts. And you don't have to do anything. You just have to make sure, hey, here's what I need you to say.
Right.
So how it looks, it's super blown up on my end, but it is what it is. Coming from Mallory Urban, which is the influencer on the left side, you can see that it's very organic. It's coming from her page versus when Pact duplicated it across her own. Now we're looking at like, hey, that's coming from the brand. It's able to duplicate across her account and our account, and I'll obviously show how we get access to those accounts. Going back into it, so we have what we talked about before is mixing influencers with branded assets. That is where we get the influencer content in, run it as is. Those are the ads we want to push, and we want to incorporate a little bit of the branded fields that we have. How did people ask about like, well, how do you get access to these specifically? So I'm going to escape out of the main presentation and show you a little bit of what it looks like in Facebook. So we come into audiences, as you can see. open this. And so we will have access like one or two here because this is the brand's business manager. This is my personal business manager. So we won't have all the access granted, but I'll show you what it looks like when we do get it.
And where do you find your influencers? Do you have a software that you recommend for that, or is it just research, or
no,
like other directories?
We have a software that we use called I should have it here. Yeah, so there is a software that we use. Oh shit, what's it called? I'm totally blanking on it. I'll find it right before we follow up on it. But there is a platform that we use to find these influencers, and I'm just like super blanking on it right now. Unfortunate. So this should be loading soon. I'll walk it. I wanted to walk through like these steps, but I'm actually going to do that inside of the account itself.
Okay, cool.
Because basically, obviously, you're going to see the results here, but it doesn't make a lot of sense unless I can actually show exactly what we use. The final pieces I would like to talk to is what it would look like for a full funnel. Prospecting, we always like to lead with the influencer top funnel, maybe incorporate a little bit of the brand work here. But then the final is we follow up all the way through with different steps of different talking points. So you have the stories talking about it. That's a different platform. It's a different ad unit. We have the brand repurposing our content as well, coming from the brand's page. Because what we found was influencer content from influencer page, different CPM, cheaper CPC. Influencer content from brand's page, higher CPM, higher CPC. So that was like the real find of like, oh fuck, how do we not use this earlier? That's why it's a part of every single strategy we use of what does your influencer program look like? How do we leverage this? A little bit of case studies about why this worked. These are videos that aren't going to play. But we knew that this was the very first time where we like broke everything across at the end of last year. And now on the brands that we're using, it's the main ways why we find a lot of our extra scale when brands are trying to push into $500,000, $1 million a month. Showing the diff. So as you can see here, we have, this is Sophia. This is one of the influencers. All of our people have followed her in the last 365 days. How do we find that? When you create an audience just within Facebook, it'll prompt us business profile page or Facebook page. Now, as we're brands, right? Influencers have the same thing. They have their same audiences that are engaging and following. So when you go into the Instagram page, yes, this is the brand itself, but also, this should be loading as well. This is an influencer, Hermuse official. That's his page. Instead of doing just diffs, and you're grabbing the people that's liked, commented, followed, shared. Yeah, look, I still have Chuck Liddell sitting in here. So say we were to take all of Chuck's, we want everybody that's ever liked him for 365 days.
Right.
You don't get access to these, and these are the people that love Chuck. These are the followers, engagers, and lovers. So we were to build Chuck audience.
Right.
If we were to create this is why this is so important right here. Now we're going to create a lookalike of all those people and forever have that. Just in case the influencer turns it off or it takes it away. That to me is the biggest hack that someone can do in 2020 because nobody else knows how to grant access to this stuff.
Right.
But when you go into the campaigns itself, and we actually just launched a couple new stuff here. So I'm sorted by.
So creating a lookalike audience of the influencer and saving that in your Facebook account is something that everyone should be doing.
So not only that, is engaging with the influencers and asking them, hey, we're going to grow your page.
Right.
You just make the content. We're going to put our money behind it. It's literally a no-brainer for anybody. Like we have a little bit of money. We want to market for you. Promote our brand. We're going to grow you. It's a win-win for everybody. So engaging with it. So this is all through the micro handles. So you can see.
We're doing some of this with, we're doing it. I don't think I'm able to go into all the details of it, but we're doing this on YouTube right now with a couple influencers where we're doing that, where we're doing like an interview on their show and then we're paying to advertise that interview. And yeah, it's working out pretty well.
Unbelievable. Yes. And that's what I love about this is it's applicable across every platform. That's behind it. So we have,
and we're doing it obviously in the info space. So this does cross over.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That does make sense, because if you have a well-known person in your space or a colleague that you trust that's speaking on your behalf about your product, it'd be like Dean Graziosi speaking on behalf of Tony Robbins, vice versa.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this stuff works. If we were to look into the actual account itself, and you're like you said, we do want the lookalike audiences, but we're also just instantly getting hot and warm leads.
You're right.
So we're launching a product to people that already might give a shit about them. So what this ad could potentially look like, let me highlight this. And you never know. And a lot of the people don't understand that this is a brand speaking. It's actually showing, what are you doing here? There we go. So it's coming from Casey, right? It's like, I created this for me and my followers.
So these are the diff blue light blockers.
So why it's like influencer talking, beautiful product I know what I'm going to get. Super congruent.
Tablet at night, so this is really helping sleep better, and it helps take the strain off my eyes. So these.
You wouldn't know that this was coming anywhere else. She's talking about the product and brand. Applicable for everybody, Rich.
Very cool.
This is.
Are you finished? Or there's more?
No, this is. I could show other examples, but no, this is the gist of it. Is like, as you're looking for scale or as you're looking to test a product, it can't just be from your brand, because your brand, we're trying to sell anyways. We're trying to convince them to buy. But if it's somebody else that's trusted in the space, let them do the talking for you.
Right. Yeah, it's a shortcut towards goodwill for sure. So now you got to tell us where to find these relevant influencers.
Yes, we do. 1 second. And what I'm doing is I'm texting for the platform. Oh, I actually got it. Sit tight. Boom. Okay. I'll show you right here. Sharing screen again.
Okay. There we go.
First one is Clout HQ.
Cloud HQ. Okay.
CLOUT HQ.
Oh, Clout HQ. Yep. Okay.
All smooth. All influencers. You can go and search the database. And
so is this your primary one or?
Yeah, we have two primary ones. I use Cloud HQ because I do know the founder. He's a great person, great friend of mine. Tagger is probably one of the more well-known ones. Cloud HQ is a little bit more on the cheaper end. Tagger is like, hey, I actually need to build out a platform. There we go. It's a little bit more on the expensive end, but why it's worth it is because they'll give you. So I want to choose a Justin Bieber, for instance. Okay, it's going to give you 5 to 10 other people. It's going to already tell you where the micro influencers are going to be, and you can go like, I can't afford Bieber, so I need to go to the rest of the people. This is how you find them. And personally, what I would do is, as soon as I know and I can identify who they are, I just personally reach out to them. We don't want to use a platform like this because if an influencer is on this platform, they're going to want top dollar. Plus, the platform itself is going to take a piece off the top.
Right.
But if they're currently active or selling themselves in this marketplace, they're going to accept you one-on-one. Don't do it. Find them, then reach out by yourself.
Got it. And so for someone who's never done a influencer campaign before, they'd either go to Tagger Media or Clout HQ.
Yep.
They'd join for some, limited period of time, I guess. And is it like keyword based or personality? Yeah. Is it like you can slice and dice it, not just based on personality, but keywords and stuff like that?
platform, personality, industry, niche, size, location. Because the other thing was what we didn't talk about a little bit on the influencer play is when you have just one influencer, like you have Kim Kardashian, right? She has millions and millions of followers. How many of those live in the United States?
Right.
How many of those live in the state that you actually want to market to? That is like why the paid media is so important, because now I'm using their influencer. I already have their audience, and I'm going to cut it down going like, I just need USA, 18 to 35 women. That's who I want. That's what's valuable out of your millions of followers.
Got it. So now so for someone who's going to like endeavor on this, how many influencers should they start with?
Great question. I think they need to start with 5.
Okay.
5, but it would, even before that, Rich, you need to understand what, like we pulled it up earlier with this brand, and I'll go right back to it so we can talk through it as an example. Right, like you're your brand. So let's just choose one off of Drink Bev. Drink Bev. Drink Bev is a wine in a can. Okay, what's trending right now? Seltzer, Trulies, these feminine drinks. Right. What does this stand for? This is going to stand for, maybe it's a little bit healthier, maybe it's for just women specifically, and maybe it's on the cheaper side. Those are 3 potential value props that your brand stands for. So we need to identify with that specifically. Okay, back to this example: beauty, fitness, motherhood. How many of those do you associate with? How many of those do you need to speak to? That should dictate how many influencers you have per industry, per niche.
Got it.
So I would say 5. 3 to 5 is pretty on point for that.
Got it. And then do you want them all running at the same time, or do you try and stagger them, or what?
That's a great question. I think so the approach is, there's 2 different approaches. So that one is to stagger them so that you get a longer push of reach. The other is, I don't have time to learn. I want to launch all of them on a specific day and see what that traffic pushes. You're still going to be able to measure it because you're going to get the UTM codes. So it's up to you the strategy you want to launch with. My recommendation is lay it out. Let one run on a specific day. Let the next one on another specific day, because there's also days of the week that don't make sense to run. Do I want them posting on a Monday or Tuesday? Potentially, I want everybody going on the weekend. So I would let them know, like, weekend 1, I would like for influencer A, post me on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hold, let's evaluate how that weekend went, and then go the next one on the following weekend.
Got it. Now, does a post have to hit like a certain parameter or benchmark for it then to be worthy of paid promotion? Great
question. Yes and no. And here's why I say yes and no. Yes, it needs to hit because we need to understand if the content that they're making is like, if are they selling? Like, are they convincing enough? And if you can make the justification of, hey, they drove good enough traffic relative to the other influencers I have, but I believe that the content was a little bit weak. I'd go back to the influencer and be like, I think you need to speak a little bit more to the value props and have a stronger call to action. Let's try that again. Very easy to do that. Very easy to ask them, like, look, here's your metrics. You did drive some people, no purchases, but we know that there's interest there. It's a very open dialogue.
And then if a campaign goes well, right, like what's the ratio of promotion spend versus influencer spend? So let's say you spend $1,000 on this influencer and the posts end up converting well and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, this one turned out good, and now you're going to be promoting those posts or whatnot. Like, what is there a multiple, like certain, like you might spend 5x, like $5,000 promoting a post that cost you like, $1,000 because of, is there anything like that? Any kind of ratio?
We would structure it in 2 different ways. The first way would be 1-to-1. I spent $1,000 on this. I'm going to spend $1,000 on paid ads on my side. 2, we structure with like, hey, I already paid you to make this content. I would love to give you like a little bit of a, it's kind of like a rev share. Mm-hmm. Whatever you promote or whatever you grab in the first 2 weeks, month, whatever you can negotiate for, we'll pay you off of that. We'll pay you off of that rev share. What it's generally speaking, our industry is about 15% rev share. Let them earn that. Month 2 or the second week.
So wait, I'm not sure I follow. So what do you mean by that? Let them earn that? So you're just basically cutting them in for 15%. Is that just so that I'm clear? Like,
yeah. So no
okay.
ads. Here's step one. Step one is we seeded the product, we paid them for the content creation, and they're going to post live. Okay.
Right.
We're going to evaluate exactly, okay, this did good. We're deeming that this did well. What's step two? Step two is to let them understand, hey, if you would like to continue to promote it, we're going to give you a rev share. Okay. We're not going to put any ad spend behind it.
Okay.
As many times as they promote it. But if you do promote it a certain amount of times,
up the commission or whatever.
3 to 5 posts, right? Arbitrary. We just want more content from them. We're going to put ad spend, and we can choose that number, which is 1-to-1, $1,000 behind it because we've already paid $1,000 for the initial content. But we would like for you to continue to post that. We're going to lower your rev share. Now we're going back down to 10%. So we're adding in more budget as the time goes on, but they need to create more content to it, and they're going to get a bigger piece.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Why I love this so much is you get content from them, you get users that might not have even been in your own industry that you couldn't even speak to from your brand, and lastly is they're potentially going to drive revenue for you. And if it doesn't work, we still have the content that we can rotate into the ads that we're running.
Gotcha. And over time, you're building a lot of marketing assets that can be deployed in lots of different ways. On the website, you know, et cetera, for credibility, blah, blah, blah.
Well, absolutely. And once you start getting to the higher campaigns, now we're going like, hey, we're going back and going, I would like for you to design a specific product with us, and we're going to co-promote this. Right. And so now we're getting their followers. And this is talking when they're having 1 million, 5 million, 10 million followers to go, I know for a fact if I keep launching back to them, if we've made a specific frame for them, that we're going to have that seed audience that just buying the Kardashian frame or just buying a Rock's protein. We're going to keep coming back. And me as a brand, I'm going to keep creating specific one-off offers with them so that they know that they can go back to that group. That's the goal. Like we work our way up the food chain. Now they're creating one-off products that like, hey, you can only get this limited edition play because brand A is working with influencer A. That is where like the real cash comes in. And we did that with Chloe. We did a great frame with Chloe. Yeah, we had to pay her a little bit on each rev share, but shit, those things flew.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's not exactly the same, but it reminds me of I think Dan Kennedy told me this with Proactive, like they might pay Justin Bieber like $2 million, but then they do like an advanced screening to just his fans and they make back the full amount of what they advanced him, like what they paid. Like they were profitable before they even rolled out the campaign nationally, just rolling it out to his fans.
Literally.
Yeah.
And they're playing on such a high level. Like we can do this. It just takes time. Like, hey,
yeah, to work your way out.
Do it ourselves. That's a great point.
Yeah. So anything that I didn't ask that I should have, but because I don't know that much about influencer marketing, I didn't ask.
Yeah. No, that's actually, I was actually going to say this to you is you asked all the questions that I wish some of the brands that we work with or influencers that we work with would ask. The hardest thing that people do is like, how do I get them to give me access? It comes in like a little bit of the negotiation of, we don't want anything. We don't want your passwords. All you want you to do is grant us access to our business manager, which I have a document I'll send after in the
yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that'd be great. Any kind of documents that help make this whole process easier would be useful, for sure.
Yeah, I'll send those sites, a tool to use, and a nice little PDF of like do A, B, and C, and you'll be able to grant access to it. But the hardest thing is letting them know we're helping them. Like we don't want anything. We have no specific data. Facebook keeps everything. You're already on Facebook. You're already on Instagram. We want to be in promotion with you guys. And that's something where I've seen brands kind of fuck that up. They don't necessarily communicate effectively going, we don't want access. We want to amplify. That is it. And I'll share all those docs with you, Rich.
Oh, that'll be awesome, man. And anything else that I didn't ask that I should have?
No, we kind of nailed it. We spend about 50 minutes talking through something that I'm doing with brands every single day. And it's even the most sophisticated of the brands will go like, Shaq, tell me how to do this one more time. So it's, people might have to replay this a couple of times. And I know we went in depth on some things. So I'm sorry to nerd out on it.
No, it's great. And really appreciate you taking the time to share this winning strategy with us, and definitely something I want to get involved with. So this was a good primer on getting started. So I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
All right. Speak soon, man.